So retweets should be out there if you care to retweet. Mm-hmm. Going live. All right. All right, let's kick this bitch off. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's staying well. Because the fact that we ran out of Corona, we've asked our studio audience not to come in. So we're doing our part. I am your host, Eric Van Johnson, and you're listening to episode 182 of PHP Ugly. With me tonight, battling the evils of viruses, Tom Rightup.
Hello.
Hey, Thomas.
We have a John-free episode tonight, unfortunately.
We have a John-free episode. Oh, somebody just... Yeah. Yes, you're right, Gishu. I forgot to update the title in the restream. God damn. Good call, man. Well,
I'm glad we have listeners that are more attentive than we are.
Well, right before the show, there's a lot of setup I have to do. I've got to get the Trello board ready. I've got to figure out what streaming software I'm using because OBS has been flaking out on me so much lately. I do that. What else do I do? There's something else I do right before we start streaming, but there's a lot of stuff you got to do. And
Zencaster.
Zencaster. And then one of the other things I typically need to do is change the title on Restream. And I totally forgot, but Gishu is there. John isn't here. He's been coughing a lot lately, so we asked him not to show up.
Yeah, he said he accidentally double booked a date with his wife over the podcast, and I don't quite believe that it was accidental, but whatever. We give him leeway. He's the boss.
No, he's not.
Wait, right.
But yes, he's always been kind of a part-time host, Here when it's convenient to him. So, we gotta check this out. Hey, listen.
I don't hear it again.
You don't hear it?
No.
Oh, I got sound effects now. So. It's time! It's time! Keisha, do you hear the sound effects? Just wondering.
Little bit of debugging on production here.
That's right. That's the way things are done nowadays, It's like you either ignore it or you work on it in production. I mean...
Well, nowadays, everybody's working from home.
It is quite the shift, yes. And it's just amazing how quickly these companies who have for years struggled with the concept of remote work have completely embraced it.
Yeah. I think when Tom Hanks got the coronavirus, everyone started to go, "Oh, this is serious." And I'm not sure why Tom Hanks would be the person to make people start taking things seriously, but he's a treasure. We can't lose him. So
that's true. I actually have a little bit of a cough. That is not
Is it a dry cough?
No. It's actually a very, very wet cough. So
that's good. That's good news. Well, we got news here today that the kids' school is going to be closing down for a couple weeks. They're going to be switching over to an online learning platform for a little while. Every sporting event is canceled. Every conference is getting canceled.
Yeah. I'm really concerned about tech, which is coming up here real soon. We talked about that a little bit last week. PHP Tech, which is going to be in Nashville.
Now, when you guys did Wave PHP, did you have some kind of catastrophic insurance coverage for a thing like this?
not only that, but I mean, these hotels, these venues that you have to reserve, they don't do refunds. Like
Right.
it's yeah, no, we didn't, and we had no plans of action or anything. I mean, we were pretty naive. Well, it was our first conference, so we were pretty naive about a lot of things. I'm sure had we made it more of a regular thing, which I wish we were able to do, but we would have learned lessons, more lessons. But no, I was thinking about that though. I mean, even somebody had even talked about the possibility of Laracon um, possibly canceling, and that's not until June, July. Laracon, I forget. It's out there ways, but and Taylor was basically saying, yeah, we'd have to do refunds at that point. But I mean, that's just like, wow. I mean, that's such a huge
Yeah.
commitment because those venues they don't do refunds. So that's got to be a pretty big loss. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know if under these circumstances people are a little bit more understanding, but who knows?
Yeah, well, and there's talk about government-based bailouts for people who are severely financially impacted, but so far it just seems that they mean rich people who are losing money, not actually people who need money.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned your kids' schools uh, are doing remote. Both my kids who go to different colleges now. One's at San Diego State, and another one's still at a community college. Uh, they're both going completely online as well. So
Yeah.
I
Now
mean,
the thing
it's
is
amazing the shutdown.
the schools aren't ready to go online. They have an IT staff that's going to have a really, really long weekend because
A
this
long
is
couple
all,
weeks. Yeah.
yeah, this is all going to happen pretty spontaneously. You know, I would say on Monday people were casually concerned about things, but as this week progressed and Italy literally shut down every store except for supermarkets and pharmacies, people are starting to panic a little bit more, and rightfully so. I mean, if this thing really started to spread fast, you look at if it hit a school, that's instantly 5,000 people infected. That's bad, bad, bad news.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's nuts.
yeah, and then there's the toilet paper and paper towel situation, which is a little bizarre. Uh, I hear everyone is having difficulty getting toilet paper, which, of all the things, that's got to be one of the most annoying things to not be able to get a hold of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I know at the college level, it's interesting because my both my daughters at one point pretty much did an entire semester online, and it really started to kind of bubble up the question of why are you physically going into a campus? Because clearly they're just as efficient online, and the kids these days, at least my daughter's generation, are so accustomed to it where it's not difficult for them to do that. Like,
Yeah,
that first generation of online courses was tough for people to have the discipline to do their work. But I think between just society being more the norm and just iterations of online courses, everything's gotten like streamlined where it kind of works for both people. So
well, and I
the
I think this is going to be a gap in the generations too. This is going to be a defining moment for online education, where if it
mm,
succeeds, we're going to see things being run very differently from here on out.
yeah.
You know,
So it's I don't know. I mean, as people who have been working like this for 5 plus years, 10 plus years, it's just another day for us, right? I mean, things don't. Everybody's freaking out about it. I was
no,
like,
my
yeah,
kids are
no,
home.
Well,
Do you
you
know
have
how
that.
awful that is?
You have that. That's true. So.
Um,
All right, let's stop talking about viruses, man. Let's talk about
well, hold
computer
on.
stuff.
So still on the same note, my wife, you guys know she had surgery last week,
How's she feeling?
and she's doing great. And she was supposed to go back to school on Monday. That's not going to happen now, but fortunately,
Hmm.
she will get paid. Um, but boy, am I tired because I took up all the different tasks that were required of her on a daily basis for a while, and my phone was very congratulatory. It said I had achieved my workout pace, and everything had. It is asking me if I had talked to my doctor and if I had been, making these life changes for some reason. But woke up this morning and my right knee is completely broke, completely dead. It just moving it at all hurts. Don't know why.
Poor
Went to sleep
baby.
totally fine. Woke up in intense pain.
You got more of an appreciation of everything your wife does around the house.
Yeah, and probably should have tried this whole fitness thing a couple years ago before I got old
Oh,
and
dude, I tell
had
you,
teenagers.
you talk about fitness. I even posted it on Twitter. I I started going back to the gym, and my gym has a full court basketball court inside of it. And so I'd gone back a couple times and kind of found myself wandering onto the basketball court, but I had given up like those sort of sport activities years ago because I had problems with my knees and my ankles, where I had a torn Achilles and all sorts of stuff. It was like a rough patch for about 5 years. So I had kind of come to the realization, it's like I'm never playing these sort of competitive sports ever again. And at first I just kind of wandered on the court and was watching the guys play. And then next time I go to the gym, I'm like, oh, I pick up a ball and started shooting around. I'm like, yeah, I still got my range. And I don't know what happened. I ended up going out and buying a pair of basketball shoes because they had even asked me. They're like, "Hey, you want to run?" I'm like, I was just in like track shoes. I didn't have any socks, and I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not gonna run today." But but I went and got some proper basketball shoes and showed up next day, and man,
That
I so John and I had started playing racquetball, and then we
yeah.
stopped. I mean, we were pretty consistent for like every week we play for a couple months, and then we'd stop and we'd pick it back up. We haven't played in a while, so I think I started getting my cardio back up. But boy, we play we played this basketball game, and I think I went up and down the court like twice, and I was gassed. I was out. I'm like, this. Wait, what? What happened here? It's like I had nothing. My tank was empty the rest of the game. So, oh my god! And you're talking. So you're talking about hurting. I was like, fortunately, like my knees and ankles didn't hurt, but like everything else was sore for like a
Yeah,
week
yeah.
from one game of
Well, that
basketball.
that first time that you jump after it's been 20 years and you realize the mistake that you've made,
Oh
you you,
god.
you try to actually jump, try to actually get some height up there. You realize that your knees have become brittle like plastic in the sun, and this shirt's not long as it used to be. It needs to be a little bit longer. It sort of flew up a bit when I jumped, and yeah, that's
And when
that
you
that whole
land,
experience is
when you
awful.
land, you notice there's like a little wave running through your body. Like, wait, what is
Yeah,
what is that
got
wave coming up
a
and down
ripple that
my?
just goes top to bottom. It's terrible.
What just hit me in my chin? What was that?
That was my breast. That is not good.
Oh
I
god.
just boob slapped myself.
Oh man, yeah. It has been too long. But
Yeah, I've
eh,
taken to doing push-ups at night now, which I explained to my wife. Yeah, I'm doing some push-ups while I'm watching crappy TV shows and stuff. And she said, "How many are you up to?" And I said, "Well, I'm up to 20." And then I had realized I had to clarify. I'm not actually doing push-ups. I'm just leaning against the wall and pushing off of it 20 times. I'm working up to being able to right myself like a turtle.
I need to, I need to get back. I need to get back. After that basketball game, I actually have been back to the gym. Not because I'm ashamed or anything. I was actually really proud because I was able to go the whole game. I scored. I represented myself pretty well. I think I scored about 8 points, and I did all right. And and it's a pickup game, right? I mean, first thing, you're in a gym. These guys are running every day on the basketball court. They have their little clique. Half of them are like, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. I think, fuckers. I remember I used to be your age.
Yeah.
I was that good at one time.
You don't need a gym. You need fresh air and sunshine. Get out of here.
It's like, what are you doing here? Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it. I do love just I love that exhausted feeling. That was the thing about playing racquetball with John. Like when you felt like you left it all on the floor, and like you walk out and you're like, if somebody wanted to beat me up and rob me right now, it would be the opportune time because I have zero
They'd pull out a knife and I'd just fall over.
pretty much. But I love that feeling. I love it. I need to get more of it.
It's nice, but coding. I need a better bed for that.
When are we going to start talking about coding? Are we coding?
Coding.
Doing coding? We talked about tech conferences shutting down. That's not fun.
Man, I've been off for a week, and it was supposed to be this like super ambitious week where I got a lot of stuff done. I've got nothing done. Just nothing.
You're a disappointment to us all.
I wrote an outline for one article and started working on some education for future stuff, and it's been so slow and lazy, and it's been so nice here. The weather's been perfect. It's just been easy to like go outside and fall asleep on a chair outside. Like
well, I got some stuff. I mean, I got some articles I highlighted here. I don't know if you want to talk about any of them.
I noticed this. But you have actual things.
Well, you remember some time back, I had gotten really big on the GraphQL bandwagon. And I was like, this is it. This is the future. This is all I want to do moving forward. And then I got sucked back into reality and the projects we were working on, and nobody's really using it. And so I have not been doing the GraphQL stuff lately, and then all of a sudden these things started popping up in my feed. So I'm like, man, I have got to revisit GraphQL. But the one thing I saw is this company. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Hasura, Hasu, Hasura lands a $9.9 million to simplify GraphQL development. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, somebody's giving them money just to simplify, GraphQL. I don't even understand how that works. Like, what is the purpose of that?
This is startup culture, man. They're a San Francisco small, not even company. They're a total startup from San Francisco, and they got a Series A investment.
To make GraphQL, but that's the thing. Is like there's no business. It's all just to make GraphQL easier.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I thought, what's the problem?
What are you not understanding?
You have to read between the lines. This is a company that wants to get bought by Red Hat.
I can see that. Yeah.
Guarantee
by somebody.
They're going to make an open source tool, and then they're going to have a team that knows that open source tool really well. They're going to get bought by Red Hat, and Red Hat's going to make a closed source, higher tier version of the same tool.
Yeah. And then right after I saw that article, I saw another article about Mongo. So the other big thing I've been on was NoSQL databases, right? Document storage, basically. Um,
Yeah.
we talked about in the past. CouchDB is a big one, but MongoDB was one that was always. MongoDB is kind of like the uh, uh, I don't know, the MySQL of NoSQL, right? I mean, it's like the one that a lot of people kind of gravitate towards. It seems to be like kind of a leader of the pack sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and now they announced, so this is a document store, and there was something. Oh yeah, they were the first document store, or as far as I know, still the only document store that was like ACID compliant, which is typically reserved for your traditional relational databases.
Right.
ACID
It
compliance.
has a special ACID compliant mode. So
Right,
like by default when you install it, it's not, but you turn the mode on and it'll start telling you to shut up when you try to do something wrong.
right, exactly. Well, now, so so one of the challenges has always been for traditional uh, developers who are used to a relational database understanding how they interact with a NoSQL database. And typically, there are drivers and there are ways. Every NoSQL database kind of does it a little differently, but they try to keep it very close to your relational database, like querying sort of thing, but not exactly the same. Well, now it says MongoDB announces GraphQL integration. So I guess MongoDB has this service out there called Stitch, and they're 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 just doing GraphQL integration into MongoDB. It's like holy crap. So the closest thing
Yeah.
I've had to this before was CouchDB. So if you know CouchDB, it's there's no drivers for it. Like you interact with CouchDB through RESTful calls. So
Right.
it's over HTTP, and you do REST calls, and you get JSON back, and so it's pretty close to like having endpoints, having just API endpoints to interact with it. But now MongoDB in GraphQL, a document store in GraphQL seems like such a perfect match. And I'm really excited to see what they do. But I need to get back into GraphQL because I've I've fallen out of practice with it a little bit. So it's like already trying to figure out how to formulate the queries. I'm like, all right, shit, how would I do this? Like, and I need to get back into it.
Yeah, there's a whole SDK for Stitch. I don't understand any of this. It looks like it's JavaScript.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The interfaces that they have seem very limited. I forget. I know it was JavaScript, and there were a couple other ones, but they weren't. They weren't a whole bunch. But again, I mean,
Now,
JavaScript would be all you would need.
I've used the GraphQL interface that they mention here. So it has like a nice GUI style query builder and browser, and that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be really helpful. One of the things that GraphQL requires is that you don't just write your queries like you're querying an endpoint or querying a database. You have to write your queries as if they were methods of the database. So everything is pre-written in advance, and you reference those queries by name in your code some other time, some other place. Um, and this allows you to do things that are really nice, like publish APIs automatically based off of the queries that exist, and even API documentation. But it means that you have to think forward in your database development. You can't just code on the fly a query to get something.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what it is you're asking
But
for and who you're
actually, you
asking.
can. Actually, you can. I mean, that's the whole thing about GraphQL, right? You can kind of, if you know how to ask the question, as long as the data is exposed, if you know how to ask the question, you can just ask for data now. You don't have to have
Yeah.
specific endpoints developed for you anymore.
Well, the way I've always seen it and used it is that you have to develop these named queries first.
No, well, so when I did it for Laravel, and there was actually a GraphQL package you installed. You basically attached it to models and said, okay,
Right.
in this model they have access to these columns, basically. And that was, I don't remember having to define any sort of, maybe you did. I don't remember having to define any sort of query. I just remember
Was that
defining,
Lighthouse?
yeah, yeah, that was
Yeah, so
Lighthouse.
with Lighthouse you have a server side query set and you have a client side query set. So
Hmm.
you do have to set some server side permissions kind of, and expected returns and responses.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a while. I need to do it again. I'm working on an admin application just for the company that I think I'm gonna throw it into.
Huh.
Hey, Roger, hola, and Bill. Man, we got all sorts of people. We're up to six, man. We're we're rocking it.
That's not good.
I
Six
know. That's
people
what.
watching us live?
See, that's what happens when John doesn't show up, man. Word gets out. People show up. They want to hear what we have to say. They know it's only a matter of time for you and I self-destruct. So,
Um,
so
the
no,
another thing,
no big open source stuff you're working on, huh?
no, but I'm looking at Cake PHP right now.
Ooh, you know me and Cake. We have a history.
Cake, I do, and Cake split up its framework into standalone components.
Interesting. So is it like a symphony scenario?
Yeah, so now they have ORM, database, data source, HTTP, etc., etc. And all of these
Really?
components are standalone. And the interesting thing to me is that this is what I want Laravel to do. This is the source of all of my complaints about Laravel's versioning.
Well, okay, all right. I know you have issues with Laravel's versioning. Let's dig into that
I
a little bit.
absolutely. My issue with Laravel's versioning is just that when a breaking change occurs on some small thing deep down in the cookie handler, then that goes in the next major version release.
Yeah.
And that the components within Laravel don't seem to be getting tested as much as the entire library as a whole is getting tested. Um,
So what? All right. So let's see. I want to try to stay focused on everything we're talking about here. So I believe my understanding of one of the motivations behind Symfony doing this was to allow the developers the freedom to pick and choose basically the components they wanted to implement and how they wanted to implement it. So if you wanted
right.
an eloquent package to interact with your database, you can do eloquent. If you wanted doctrine, you can do doctrine. You as the developer made those decisions.
Right.
I guess the first question is, do you think that's the motivation with Cake? I'm not putting you on the spot because I know you don't follow that community that closely. I was just wondering if it's something you knew.
I don't know what the motivation is with Cake,
Okay.
but I would imagine that maintaining something that's broken up into pieces is easier. And
Perhaps, perhaps. So my next question was going to be, why would you want that in Laravel? Because I mean, wouldn't you think, unless you're taking a symphony approach, which I see the benefits of, but then again, I see some drawbacks to it as well. The thing with Laravel is that, for better or for worse, whether you like it or not, there's still the quote unquote Laravel way of doing things. And
yeah,
there's the Laravel way because it's a very opinionated framework. You don't have a choice. I mean, you have a choice. You can. There are packages out there for everything. So if you don't want to, like, if you don't want to use Eloquent, you don't have to use Eloquent. But you're breaking away from the standard of that framework, and that's very evident. So if you're not doing that, and you're just breaking out the packages just to include them all in your next composer install, I don't know. I don't. I
So
guess the argument of easier to maintain, perhaps, but then you could say, well, it's not easy to maintain because now you have 15 packages that always have to work together.
so the big thing for me here is third-party libraries, where if I look at the Laravel form builder library that I use, their required dev or their require is just Illuminate database and Illuminate validation. They don't require the whole framework because they don't deal with the whole framework. They don't deal with middleware. They don't deal with auth. They don't deal with any of that stuff. It's just a form builder. So they only want to care about certain basic functionalities that are built into Laravel that are already in their own packages.
Mm.
If you look up Illuminate, it's a read-only GitHub repo that has all of the different components of Laravel in it. But that's not helpful if they're all getting versioned up every single time the framework gets a version up. You know, if the validation package isn't getting updated, but Laravel's going to 7.01, then the validation package gets updated to 7.01 as well, even if the MD5 hash on the tag is the same. That's unnecessary work for third-party developers. And Taylor, I would say. I would think that going through every one of these packages and updating it to 7.01 every time you have to do a minor release is a pain in the ass, especially if nothing changed.
You know, I think you buried the some of your story here, man. So
How so?
I'm looking at your Cake PHP article. I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
I'm actually redirecting this back to Cake PHP
That's fine.
because I find it super interesting. Hold on, the office manager needs out of the office.
Oh, they are needy.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna redirect this back to Cake. First thing, when you were talking about this breaking out in components, I hadn't realized this is actually a whole new release of Cake. Like Cake
Yes,
PHP is up to
strawberry.
Cake PHP 4. So what's really interesting about this is that it says this release begins a new chapter in Cake PHP as 4.0 is now API stable. With this release, Cake PHP 3 moves into maintenance mode while Cake 2 moves into security mode. Okay, but I thought I just saw somewhere. See, now I'm not seeing it. I thought I just saw somewhere where Cake 4 was you couldn't migrate from 3 to 4. Maybe I didn't see that. Never mind. Maybe I'm completely wrong. You know, there's upgrades to 4 here. So while 4 contains a number of breaking changes, we have prepared an exhaustive migration guide. So yeah, you can still migrate 3 to 4. Uh, see.
And they have an upgrade tool too. They have a little
Yeah,
version of
they
Shift that they have.
yeah, they've always had that. That's one of the things that they've always offered was a little command line tool to upgrade you.
I'm
Um,
telling you, man, cake is tempting. That's not
I
a
was a
fat
big
joke.
fan of it. I was a big fan of it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this component approach though. I have to take another look at cake. I keep there was a time where we were really struggling with Laravel and especially the early 4 days, in the 4 to 5.
Yeah.
There was we were pretty critical of some of the decisions Laravel was making. We still are. I mean, we're probably some of them were critical outspoken people out there. But from a business perspective, we found ourselves constantly kind of going back, saying, okay, if we're moving forward, do we want to stick with Laravel as our quote unquote specialty, or do we look at something like Cake, because I was, again, always a big Cake fan, and then, or do we go to something more enterprisey in Symfony? And I don't know, I'm still on that bubble. Like, if I had to leave Laravel tomorrow, like if Taylor said, I never want you to touch Laravel code ever again, you disgust me. But she hasn't completely said yet.
Yeah, that
in,
whole
in
sentence
those
hasn't
many
been
words.
one piece. Yeah.
No, it hasn't been one complete sentence yet. But uh, I don't know if I'd go back to Cake or try to push myself to Symfony. So we're
I'd
having
have
that
to go to
conversation.
Symfony.
See, my problem with Symfony, and again, the thing I like with Laravel, is I worry Symfony is just another way of getting you into the same spaghetti code scenario you have without a framework, where you have a developer who says, "Okay, I want to do it this way with these packages," and then 2 years later, you have another developer who's like, "No, no, no, we're going to do it this way with these packages," and you end up with this cluster, mess of a code base with all these conflicting kind of theories and approaches and coding patterns.
I think that's hard to avoid no matter what. I mean, if you look at
But
my Laravel 4 code, which is still in production running on Laravel 7, I'm doing things several different old ways that I used to do it, and then new ways that I do it now, and then I'm starting different newer ways that I'm seeing. It's like that's hard to avoid.
But there's always the Laravel way, right? I mean, if I have a developer who is working in a Laravel code for code base, and he understands that he's doing things the Laravel 4 way of doing things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I get what you're saying, but it's still the way of that release, or that time. And if you know that way, then that makes it easier to go back into this code to go, oh yeah, that's right. I didn't have route model binding available to me here. I have to do it this other way. At least you know
Right.
that. You know those patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always on the fence. I mean, I don't want to, like. There's so many super talented developers out there that you shouldn't try to put into a box. But they're developers
Yeah.
like me that I'd go off the rails. Like, I would be trying every new pattern, every new design pattern, every new fancy package, and oh, this is a cool way to interact with the database. And I would be that developer. I would be horrible at it. And that's one of the things I like about Laravel. It's like, okay, I'm going to use Eloquent because that's what's there. This is how I interact with the database, and I'm not even going to think twice about it anymore because I don't need to. It's there. It's well thought out. It's efficient. I
Now,
don't
the
know.
language is also changing, though. I have code that I wish I could have used the double question mark operator on, and now I use it all the time, everywhere.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
Well, those are improvements to PHP itself, which again, you wouldn't have available in every version of PHP.
Now, there is a new old proposal for PHP 8.
What is this one?
Attributes. So this is annotations,
Right.
decorators, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
This is a new proposal for something that had been tried a while back, which is to add attributes as an officially supported thing in PHP. And it looks like it's gaining traction this time. It uses the double less than double greater than format.
Yeah.
And honestly, don't understand a lot of what this page is saying. It's very, very technical. I will need to read it several times, but it would be another large shift in code style for PHP.
Oh, is it something we need?
It's none of it's stuff we need.
We're just at that point now, right? We just like putting things
Right.
in because
Now we're just trying to add all the stuff that other languages have that we don't. Generators and attributes and all that stuff.
yeah, we like generators, iterators.
Yeah, there's a big new iterator change coming in 8.
Mm. Yep. So are you not doing any coding or?
I wish. No, I bought the Division 2 video game, and it's been mostly that. Yeah,
It eats up your time, doesn't it?
it really does, man. It's my buddy and I were supposed to play together, and he's been working this week, so now I'm at the end game, and he's on like the 3rd level, and it's it really eats up your time. It's not good.
Oh man. So, man, I've been doing some coding. I actually turned some pretty major corners this week on a couple projects I'm working on. So, looking forward to actually being done with some coding finally.
What have you been
One of the
working on?
ones, well, the one was the one I was really bitching about last week, where I'm working with that super secure agency, and it was a lot of back and forth. It's just
With
it
the
was
broken firewall.
oh man, the whole reason I even went down this path is because they were like, "Hey, we have this new parsing service. So if you want, you can parse for these fields, and it'll be consistent across all the states." Again, it's a lot to get into, but this company interacts with a bunch of states to exchange information, but each state formats their information differently, and so there was always this inconsistency with the piece that we did. So whenever a client was interacting with a state, we had to know that state's format, we had to write to it. So anyways, this whole company, the whole thing that started the code refactors, they're like, we have this parsing service. Well, it turns out they don't have a test environment. And so I refactor all this code. They're like, okay, when do you want to go live? I'm like, go live? I want to make sure this works. It's like, do you guys have some test servers? They're like, oh yeah, we have test servers. Yeah, just send it to this location.
Yeah, send it
And
to dev null.
I'm sending it to we're trying. I'm not seeing the responses. They're like, oh no, you're getting responses. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm getting the responses, and it's going through your parsing service, but like none of the fields are populated. Oh yeah, no, because we don't populate them in test. How am I supposed to test my code refactor if I'm not getting data in the fields that I need to be testing for? So that was fun. So I made them. I think I actually forced them to actually create records in the test environment that had the fields, and it was interesting. So, anyways, that's the big hump I got over this week is I got test data back. I was able to confirm that all my code was right, and it was such a relief of like, oh my goodness, after all this time. So now it's just a matter of deploying it to production. But that was a big one.
Apparently,
I also, you know what else we did this week? That
what?
I don't know if it would interest you or not. So we do the PHP podcast or PHP Architect, right?
Yeah.
That's a fun one, right? We enjoyed doing that. And, all we're doing. If you don't listen to that one, you guys might want to subscribe to that one as well. I mean, it's basically myself, John, and Oscar from who's the editor editor-in-chief of PHP Architect, we just kind of sit there and review. I think Oscar's in chat. Hey, Oscar. Your next recording is scheduled, Oscar. You should have gotten an invite. Hopefully that worked. Anyways,
the invite's in the mail.
So we Oscar is the editor-in-chief of PHP Architect, which, if you don't know what a PHP Architect is, it's like the PHP magazine. It's been around ever since I've been involved with PHP. It's changed hands a few times. Oscar is one of the owners now. He's owned it for... So he owned it. It's funny. They ended up buying it. He was part of a whole group. Now that he's listening, I'm like spazzing because I can't remember their name, like Three Musketeers or something. But they ended up buying PHP Architect magazine. The same time, and this is weird that I know this, I met John. So John had moved out to San Diego, had started up the user group. We had kind of gotten to know each other. Musketeers, I mean, okay. The Oscar's got my back. John and I had just gotten to know each other. I don't even think I was helping him with the user group at the time. And he mentioned that PHP Architect was holding this, they were doing like this traveling, I don't even know what you call it, like class. It wasn't even a conference. It was like a one-day class where like 3 or 4 speakers would come in and talk about, they would just do like presentations. I mean, it was cool. And John's like, hey, PHP Architect is doing this up in LA. Is anybody interested in joining me? I'm like, yeah, I'll go up there with you. And him and I ended up driving up to LA, which is where we found out that this purchase had happened, and PHP Arc was actually changing hands. That's why all this, this reminds me of all this. But it was that time, like, John and I started to form more of a friendship, and we spent some quality time on the drive up to LA and back. It was special. Anyways,
The first real romantic night together.
I'm so off topic. Anyways, this week we talked to Mark Ben, I think his name was, and he's big. He's like the community organizer for Adobe for Magento. Have you ever worked with Magento?
Magento.
Yeah.
Yes. Not a fan.
Well, yeah. Well, you probably haven't worked with the newer versions of it.
I absolutely have not.
Right,
this was 15 years ago.
So the funny thing about it, so first thing we had, he was the in studio guest. So if you listen to the PHP podcast, it's Oscar, myself, and John. We talk about the magazine as a whole, like what's in that month's magazine. But then we usually have an in-studio guest. Typically, it's somebody who's contributed to the magazine. Sometimes it's not. It's just somebody related to something going on. But Ben was our in-studio guest. And first thing, it's so funny talking to somebody like Ben. So he's like a community organizer of Adobe, or a developer advocate, or I forget his exact title, but he's somebody who talks at conferences a lot.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to interview people like that because they like have their spiel, it's like you ask them a question, you sit back and they like talk for 15-20 minutes, then you ask the second question, they talk for 15-20 minutes. It's so nice. But I was telling Ben, I was like, there was when I first really got into PHP development, and where I was actually doing development, I moved on from being the operations manager and said, all right, I'm done with systems. I'm going to work on coding. Like everybody I knew in the PHP world, everybody was working on a Magento project of some form or fashion. Like it seemed like everybody in PHP had a Magento project working on.
Yep, I remember those times darkly.
Now, did you do it? Did you do it for a company, or were you trying to work on something?
I did it for a company. I did a little bit of contract work for. This was when I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was contract for a friend who just needed like the smallest little feature added to his Magento site, and I think I ended up not charging him just because it was such a nightmare, and I was not comfortable with the code I'd produced.
Well, now you remember our good friend William, right? William
Yes.
from SDPHP, great guy. To hear that guy talk about talk about that code base, he was probably the smartest person I knew in the world of development, and he would just rip apart the Magento code base. He
Yeah.
hated
Yeah.
working in that.
Well, he was. I mean, he was one of those guys who was too smart. He hated so many things because so many things were done incorrectly. And
Yeah.
yeah, no,
So, anyways,
Magento is scary.
listen to so the whole thing that got me started down this path is if you don't subscribe to PHP Architect, this month's issue is free. So I think you can just go to PHP Architect and download it. Oscar, you're here. Do they even need to create an account, or can they just download the magazine? You let us know that, Oscar, and we'll be sure to share that. But yeah, Adobe is kind of sponsoring this month's magazine, so go to PHP Architect, download this month's magazine for free. You have to register. Oscar says you do have to create an account, so there's that. But Oscar's a good guy. He won't do too many terrible things with your information. Don't worry about it.
Oh boy, Magento it gives me like cold goosebumps. Maybe I'm getting sick. Maybe I'm getting the coronavirus. Um, One other new big thing this week is the announcement that Bootstrap 5 is in alpha.
What's Bootstrap? Do you even use Bootstrap anymore? I'm Tailwind all the way, baby. Tailwind through and through. Bootstrap 5? Come on, man.
Bootstrap
What's this have
5,
to do?
no more jQuery. Are you getting sucked into the don't use jQuery thing?
I was that way when I got introduced to Vue. I mean, I stopped using jQuery pretty much then. I mean, I was never great at JavaScript to begin with, but yeah, I can't. And now with Livewire, I'm even avoiding Vue. Where I can be completely honest with you.
I still like React more than Vue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hmm?
it's
Teach
just
your
it
own.
just I don't know why React when I was learning it clicked with me so much faster than Vue did.
Hmm. See, I was just yeah, I don't know what it was about Vue. Vue was just perfect for me. Yeah, I don't know. It works for me, but it's funny because I saw some advice from Matt Stauffer. If he's really gotten into streaming as well. He pretty much streams weekly now. He usually does live coding, but and I have to say I completely agree with his advice as well. People were asking him, and I think I even mentioned that now that I've been introduced to Livewire, I've I've really found myself questioning when I am going to use Vue again. Like I just don't know. It's not going to be a standard deployment with my Laravel projects anymore. Maybe it will be, but I'm still probably won't. I'm probably not going to use it.
But you're not on a
Um,
monolith.
this is true, but the advice that Matt was giving and advice that I would probably echo is that if you're looking for work, you want to know Vue
Oh
because
yeah.
that's what's hiring. Like all these JavaScript frameworks, React, Angular, yeah, I mean, still Angular, Vue. If you're looking to get a job, learn these JavaScript frameworks because there's just so many openings out there for this stuff right now. I can
Yeah.
pretty much guarantee you it's going to be a while before you find somebody who says, you know, you have to understand Livewire to apply for this position. So what about React do you like?
I don't know, man. I haven't used it since I did my GraphQL thing,
Yeah,
but it was just cleaner. It just felt cleaner. I could not tell you why.
yeah, yeah. I've got to really buckle down and really polish up my JavaScript experience. Maybe I need to introduce myself to React as well. I actually skipped over React. I was doing the jQuery stuff. I was trying to teach myself Angular when I got introduced to Vue, and then it was like boom, bam. It was like, whoa, stop right there. I got it. I understand. I can see this stuff now. As I stated last week, I suffer from the problem of if I'm not coding in it every week, I feel like a beginner again. Like if I come back to doing Vue stuff in a month and I haven't been coding a Vue for a month, I'm back in Google. Like, okay, how do I do this? All right, what's a
Yeah.
component? That sort of stuff.
How do I
But
init view?
like, do I even need Laravel? If I can I just do a Vue app? Wait, I can just do a Vue app? Hey, whoa, that's awesome. It's like a whole framework. So, oh, I need to probably teach myself React or something. You coughing over there, man?
Sneezing, fortunately.
I have phone numbers. I can call people.
I already work from home. There's not much they can make me do that makes me any safer. They could make me give away my kids, which, God, I hope they don't.
You're an awful person.
I'm just a tired person.
I hear you.
Um, I don't think I have a whole lot. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are helping all the coronavirus contained people. Discord bumped its viewer limit to 50 people from 10 people. Internet bandwidth has apparently gone through the roof this last week.
Oh,
Uh,
I can just imagine. Yeah.
yeah, but the big heroes in my book are Pornhub.
Oh, please don't stop. Don't stop talking.
They they are giving free premium accounts to anyone in Italy. So if you have a VPN or are one of our listeners in
Are
Italy,
you serious?
yeah, you get a free month of premium for being in lockdown.
You've got to hand it to those guys. They think outside the box all the
They are the
time.
yeah, they are the best in viral marketing in the world.
Oh,
No one beats them. I am constantly amazed with the stuff they come up with, and it's stunning.
oh man, that's too funny. I'll fire up the VPN tonight. I guess I'm gonna test it. I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it
Oh no, it
goes.
works. It works.
All right.
It's already been thoroughly tested by people in my office.
I'm I'm gonna throw out this article because I want to get it off my Trello board. But apparently, Twitter is in very limited scopes beta testing a new feature that they call fleets. A fleet
Great name.
is a kind of in the moment thought or opinion of something that you can post to your Twitter stream. Doesn't post to your timeline. For people to see it, they have to look at your profile, and it's only active for a certain amount of time. So I don't know. I forget what the time is, but it's like it shows up and then it disappears. So if you want to rant about something, or if you have kind of a controversial thought or opinion that you feel for some reason you want to get out there, this is the feature for you. But I, I don't know. I'm kind of like, what's the point of that? Like, is it so like racist people can still be racist with their racist friends, but still keep their like timelines clean? I mean,
I I
what's the
think that's I
point?
think this is the way all social media is going to go. There's no reason for my political conversations with somebody's crazy aunt to be stored by Facebook for 3 years. Like that conversation, once it goes stale, it can die. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. But you don't think there's a benefit to like we're in coming up in an election year here, and you don't you don't think there's a benefit to understand things that these people tweeted about 5-10 years ago and holding them accountable to it?
5 or 10 years ago, maybe, if they were already a politician 5 or 10 years ago, but 20 or 30 years ago, 40 or 50 years ago, I mean, that's why you write a book or a
I was
blog
going to
post.
say, how different is that from writing a book? Like, if you had written a book coming out of college, you had all
Well,
these
it's my
ideas and.
my kids think that they know everything, obviously don't, and they're writing a book right now every time they go online.
Mm-hmm.
They're writing down their opinions, which are poorly informed, and will be there for the rest of their lives.
Mm. So you
You know,
think you feel like it's these social media companies kind of not duty. I don't want to say duty because it sounds dirty, but I'm not trying to say it's their responsibility to enforce it. But you think it's more the socially responsible thing to do of, hey, listen, don't make every word somebody tweets or posts a permanent record of that person's statement. Like, give people an opportunity to, maybe change their opinion or something, but give people the opportunity to have what they said forgotten about.
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And it's it wasn't until the last like year or maybe 2 years that people realized they could go back in anyone's Twitter history and read everything.
Hmm.
Because the tweets that got James Gunn fired from Guardians of the Galaxy
Hmm.
existed way before he directed the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hmm.
It was just that people realize they can start digging through to find something to burn somebody.
Hmm.
And maybe we just don't need that anymore. Maybe we don't have the garbage can where you left all of your McDonald's wrappers permanently installed on your front doorstep. You know,
I gotta say, I don't completely disagree with you. I mean, you find, and even kids losing scholarships to colleges because of things they tweeted, when they were
yeah,
freshmen in high school. Like the shit I said as a freshman in high school, I'm ashamed of. Half of it, it's like I don't want people to remember I
I
said that
don't I
stuff.
don't remember it. That's the worst part is that these are tweets and conversations that the people who had them don't remember
Right.
because they're conversational. I don't remember the tweets that I have from 10 years ago, but I sure probably should look through my Twitter history and make sure it's nothing terrible.
Right.
Like
That's
like I
it.
hope I hope the whole world gets a virus that kills 3% of us. God, now I've said
as
it again.
as a shut-in, you're like, yeah. I hope one day people appreciate the fact that I don't like going outside. And they all die from some virus because they're outside. That'd be funny,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
right. But if I said that 10 years ago on Twitter and I don't remember I ever said that, should I be held to the fires for it today?
Man, that's an interesting social question. I mean, I'm kind of inclined to go lean both ways. I mean, as of today, both ways on it. It's like there's a part of me that I feel like the younger people understand the things that they say have an impact, the sooner they become better people, ideally, in theory.
Right.
But at the same time, young minds are young minds. Angry minds are angry minds. Ill-informed minds are ill-informed minds, and you shouldn't be. Yeah, man, I don't know. But then again, here we are, where we literally record what we think and talk about on a goddamn podcast, and
And
encourage other
suffer the
people to listen to us,
consequences.
and suffer
We
suffer the
know, at least we
consequences.
know as adults what we're doing. If my kid had a podcast, I would burn the house down.
Yeah. That's quite good question. I don't know how I feel about that. I think yes. I think for sure up to a certain age, yes, 100%. Whether that age is 18 and say, hey, anything anybody says before they're 18 can't be
No,
held against them. But
no, that age is like 30.
yeah, no, I get you. And it's not always a matter of being immature. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's not always a matter of being immature. Sometimes it's a matter of not having the right information or just being mad. I mean, how many times have you said something in anger that you're just like, I was what a dick thing to say, you know?
Today?
About my kids? Oh
Yeah.
shit, I just did that.
On this podcast? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the EU has the whole right to be forgotten thing, and we don't have anything.
Well, we're
Like we
getting
don't we don't
something
have
though.
we don't have the right for a vague memory or the right to excuse yourself and apologize. We have
Yeah.
nothing. So we need something.
I mean, you have the option to delete tweets. You have the option to delete Facebook posts.
Right, but there's auto indexers out now that index everything, even if you've deleted it or not. I mean, I can look up anybody's deleted posts.
True.
So, like, does deleting your post really matter if that doesn't achieve anything?
Well, I think it says to the world, "Hey, I said something. I take it back."
That's the other part. Is if you delete too many tweets, the world starts going, "Wait, what did he say? How long did he? Were there 1,000 tweets about this? That's not good."
Yeah.
And we're approaching technology where you'll be able to meet somebody and it'll show you their latest tweets in a little viewfinder in your eye. I mean, that's another nightmare scenario that we're just not ready for. That's gonna eventually happen.
Yeah, because you imagine like face recognition where it says, "Oh, hey, this person's this. These are their last 3 tweets," and
Right.
trying to get.
You get an automated siren in your AirPods that says, "Warning, warning, this person appears to be racist."
Yeah. All right, I think we need to wrap it up. What do you think? I think we've talked long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've abused these good people's time long enough.
Well, most of them have died off. We're down to 3 hardcore people now. So
Does
I think
appear the
we're up.
spam bots have given up.
I think we bumped up to 9 there for a brief second, and then it dived immediately after. Hey, I do have a fantastic idea for a product. If anybody wants to take the time, I've got the perfect idea for a product. I have spent a good portion of the week tracking down current versions of things, and I would pay a service to be able to get an RSS feed where I can query it and say, okay, give me the current version of PHP, give me the current version of Laravel, give me the current version of this package, and get a feedback of what current versions are. It can't be that hard to do. Just somebody has to be willing to do it. Either
You
that,
sure
or
that's not already a thing?
I would some point me to it. I would jump on it. Even if we came up with a standard that says, hey, if you release a package, you have to create an endpoint that all it does is display the current release. Like PHP, I shouldn't have to go through like release notes or something. There should just be some magical endpoint that I can hit that says, okay, the current release is 7. What are we up to? 4 now? 3, 4? You're muted.
Three.
Yeah.
You're muted.
So I would. You're muted. What? I would love that. I would, and of course, I was doing it for versions of OS, of Rails, of Ruby, of curl. I had to. We had this requirement where we're just kind of breaking down all the components that the application uses. So I mean, like Composer makes it simple, right? There's
Right.
actually a command in Composer that says you're on this version. Here's the current version. NPM is the same way. NPM has the same thing. So I mean, the
But which version
functionality
of
is out
NPM are
there.
you on? See, that's where it gets confusing, is because there's currently 2 supported versions of PHP, and there's like 8 supported versions of NPM.
Oh, I don't even
Like
know.
active.
I just know. I forget. I forget the actual switch you throw in there, but it's like npm uh, out of date. I think is what it was, and then it just shows you a list of all the npm all the JavaScript packages you're using, the npm packages you're using that are out of date. But again, this went beyond that. With things that were on the system, which if you log into the system, you kind of have the same functionality. There has to be an easier way, though. It's gotta be. I'd love to be able to tie into a feed. See, that's the thing is, I want to automate this. I don't want to do this every time the client requests it because it's a very manual process right now. I'd love to be able to have a spreadsheet that has a tie-in to, all these current release endpoints, and he just pulls up the spreadsheet and sees where everything's at. That's my dream. I need somebody to build that for me. Let's get on that. You're off for the next week, Thomas.
See, yeah, my dream is people building things I ask for me.
That's,
I'm starting at a much easier dream than you.
I think that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm asking people to build something for me because I'm too lazy to do it. All right, I think that's it. We're done. Done.
All right.
Episode
Thank you to our
181.
Patreons.
We're done. Episode 181. What's up with that? Yes, thank you for
No,
our
182.
patrons. Damn it! It is 182. Well, according to the live stream, it's still 181 because I forgot to update it before we went live. So I'm just keeping everybody confused. That's how I'm rolling.
I mean, that is a major theme of our show.
I mean, yeah, talk in circles, not be clear about anything. We try
Yeah.
to do it. We do our best. All right, episode 182, PHP Ugly. We're done. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly. Blanked
That
on
was
that
horrible.
one.
That was
I blanked on
horrible. That's all right. We'll clean it up. We'll clean it up. Yes,
Oscar wants to know if this is
I
also the
get
podcast where you get the number wrong.
every podcast. I get episode numbers wrong, but we have 182 of them to remember now. So, yeah, that's a lot, man. We're gonna hit 200 this year. I'm excited.
As long as we live.
As long I mean, I was gonna say as long as there's people alive to listen to us, but that doesn't really change anything today. So,
Oh
all
man, the
right.
news just
I need to get OBS working again because I'm going to kill. You can kill your local stream. Stop recording.
oh yeah.
I'll keep streaming for now. For a little after show for the people who like to hang out with us afterwards. Let's just share my can I share my monitor? Let people see what I'm doing. So I think this is where people get an echo when I share my monitor.
Does your monitor have a microphone or something? I heard it switched mics or something.
Oh, you know what? I think the echo is from you guys. So I bet you if I mute this, if you guys are still hanging out in Gishu or Oscar, if you guys are still hanging out, do you guys hear an echo when I'm sharing my screen? But all right. Oh yeah, I got to kill that as well. Hey, let's get some music playing, shall we? Let's get some music playing. Pretzel. Where the pretzel go? This is all supposed to be free use music, so I don't know what that is. Let's find something better. Echoing. Yes, he is getting echoing. Let's see. Are you still getting echoing now? If I, how about right now? I just muted some more stuff. Let me know if you're getting echoing. No echo now. No echo now on Eric. But you say something, Thomas. I don't think they can hear you. But I did get some on Thomas. Was hearing the echo more on Thomas earlier. So maybe... Actually, what if
I didn't know you could watch on Facebook.
Who's what? Oh.
Oh, now I'm just muted. That's good.
Yeah, that was on me. So they should hear you now, but you shouldn't be echoing. Let me know if Thomas is echoing now. Say something,
Check,
Thomas.
check. 1, 2. Something, Thomas.
Can't hear him. Still can't hear Thomas.
Do you think Trump's going to get the coronavirus?
Did you see the picture?
Yeah, I did. It was great.
Alright, let me know if you can hear Thomas now. Yes, it would be
Check,
interesting
check.
to see
1,
that
2.
happen.
Hello, hello.
There he is. No echo. I hope so. I can hear him and there's no echo. Okay, cool. So, that's interesting. Got my shift up here. Oh, I should hide that. Alright. Everything's here. That's excellent. Alright. Cool, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm about to give up on OBS. I like OBS better because I can configure better scenes and stuff. But I mean, even with OBS, we always have the mic issues. See if he's got the coronavirus shit. This guy's, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I forgot I was posting to Facebook, but you know what I've got to remember to do? I got to go to Restream. So we just did 182. I need to... So I'm supposed to come in here and update the titles. So our next one will be 183. If I don't do it, I'll forget to do it. I wonder if that's going to update these live. I hope not. I hope that didn't just update all the ones we're actually streaming. Kishu used OBS, haven't had any problems. Yeah, are you on, oh wait, Kishu, do you have a Linux box to run OBS? I do not have a dedicated Linux box. I actually tried running OBS, in,
got
virtual
that Pi
machine.
4.
Oh, that's
that
not
Pi
strong enough to run OBS. I don't
Sure
know
it
if OBS
is.
runs on Pi 4.
I run 4K video off mine.
Wow,
That's
that would
plenty.
be interesting. You think OBS would run off the Pi?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I might actually have to try that next week. Maybe I'll play with that this weekend. That'd be a good use of it. What?
No, it's ARM. The OBS isn't ported to ARM.
Gishi said it did update to 183. Oh, let me
It's
change
not
to
183.
I know. Well, I didn't realize it was going to update the stream we had going. I thought it would just be there for... Had I known this, I would have done this earlier. 182. So at least it's there. It's there when it archives correctly. I'm streaming to 2 places on Facebook. It looks like. I'm going to Facebook. All right. Here's our Trello board for those interested. Look at all these past shows, and these are just the ones we haven't archived. I mean, how far back does this go? 112. So the funny thing about Trello, for those interested, there becomes a point where it will totally just like not work anymore, and you have to start archiving some of your boards here. But these are, so what was this? This was back in 2018. That's actually not that long ago. A couple years ago. Here's 2 years of shows still in Trello. Look at that.
All right, I gotta run. I gotta take care of the wife.
All right. Take it easy.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thanks, everyone. I'm gonna kill the stream, I guess, if Tom is leaving us. You guys take it easy.
Bye. And I'll